Hello and welcome back to another playthrough. My name is Syken and today we are continuing another Let's Play. It is time for Crown Wars: The Black Prince, a medieval version of XCOM. We're joining the 100 Years War, the longest war in history, with a lot of parties that were involved, and we're going to just fight our way through it. It is a almost blind playthrough. I covered the game for I think 2 or 3 episodes in a early access version. This, however, is the full version. We're going to play blind and we're going to play on the hardest difficulty. So we want to play on Baron with a challenging mode. You will need to quickly master the various gameplay elements of Crown War. No worries, we're going to do. Enemy stats are increased. Companions die after receiving 1 wound. And we're going to play on hero mode, which is the alternative or the equivalent of an Iron Man. So there's just going to be 1 save game. So we do have maximum number of wounds 1, which it's difficult. Enemies have 10% more hit points and power. Okay, we do a little bit more than that. How about we're doing 20% more and 20% more attack? That seems excessive for a blind playthrough. Let's do 30%. Okay, well, this is going to hurt. Enemy's accuracy, we'll leave that. That's the chance of hitting. I would at least like cover to still be relevant and not auto hit. And this here is reflexes, essentially the same as the dodge. No, not the dodge. The evasion stat in XCOM. So it makes your guys hit them less. And whilst in XCOM you can kind of play around this, I already know the game a little bit. Difficult to play around not hitting, so we're just leaving it where it is. Enemy has a solid 10% crit chance, and enemy's willpower is maximized. That's fine. So they're going to hit like trucks. They're going to have massive amounts of hit points, way more than they should. And this is not even hard. This Baron level, this is nightmare Baron level. So let's start the game and get going.
Many historians have recounted this war between France and England, but not all facts have been told. Poitiers, 1356. After fighting to complete exhaustion, the King of France, John II, is defeated. The King of England's son, the Black Prince, takes him as a prisoner. For more than 20 years, the royal houses had been fighting for the crown of the most powerful kingdom in the Occidental world. It was a war of chivalry, kings and princes. A war between families, rival houses, and cousins. A war fought according to the conventions of feudalism. But with neither side willing to kneel to the other, the war became a costly endeavor, attracting the most bloodthirsty of mercenaries. And in the shadows there were those who resorted to unspeakable methods, exploring mystical powers involving the occult. In the midst of this turmoil, with chaos reigning all round, a group of compassionate men and women gathered in secret to fight an insidious threat, more horrifying than the war itself.
Okay, but that is the official historical backdrop. This is the intro to the game where we're going to learn its mechanics, so that's going to be a great opportunity for us.
Thank you, my dear brothers and sisters, for having come from so far away. The Brotherhood is facing a formidable challenge in these troubling times.
It's true. The King of France has been defeated and captured by the English.
And we must continue to keep out of political matters.
Of course, but that's not why the Council has gathered here today.
What was that?
See what's going on.
Are we under attack?
We must prepare for the worst.
The Brotherhood's documents are of the utmost importance. We mustn't let anyone get hold of them. Good God, what's happening?
Sire, we must leave right away. We are under heavy attack.
We can't flee and leave our documents here.
We should send a message to warn Nicholas. We can't risk being captured.
My friends, the day we all feared has arrived. We must burn our documents. We cannot let ourselves be captured.
You, go to the main gate. Organize the defense. We need to buy ourselves time.
Very well. We'll meet again before God. They're already here.
All right. So, similar to XCOM, you do have, instead of 2, 3 phases. I actually like this one slightly better than XCOM. You do have a blue action, which is a movement, and then you do have 2 non-movement actions. They can be used for movement, but they can also be used for attacking. You do have 5 classes overall, if I remember correctly. So this class here is the Knight. I need to find the right terminology, so apologies for that. These are the frontliners. We'll figure out what the name is. This guy here is, or gal rather, is specced with a hammer. And the specific unique part of this game is you're effectively not only leveling your character, but you also level the weapon of the character, which means for the characters here that the same class can be very differently used. So it's a bit similar to XCOM in this regard, where essentially you could have a specialist that is an aggressive. That is an aggressive hacker, because you can have a specialist that is a combat medic, and the same principle applies here. All of the classes essentially have 2 different specs, and we're now getting introduced to the class. So we have the Knight, or the frontliner. We got the Beastmaster, which is a pet class. I really like that.
We came from the western ramparts and attackers passed by. If the gate falls, we're done for.
All right. Good. So, Beastmaster. Let's move to here. Let's use the dock in order to get there. The cool part is they do have a coordinated strike ability, where you essentially get 1 hit from him and then the dock attacks for free. Unfortunately, that already killed him. Or fortunately, who knows. We're going to flank this guy. We're just plowing through them. It's still the tutorial, so this is not how the game actually will look on equal footing.
At your command.
Good, there we go. More enemies are coming. Or not. We're being introduced to the Alchemist, which could be melee or ranged, and the Archer is not really only an archer, you can also play him in a melee fashion. So, couple of cool things. If you're using ranged, it'll show you where exactly you're going to hit. So we're Just putting both of them in cover and into the high ground position.
At your command.
Ready to go.
Now we're keeping the alchemical fire. Really don't need that yet. We just need to see what the others can reach. Beastmaster. We have coordinated strike again? No, we don't.
At your service.
But we're moving people in. This here is still, like I said, relatively easy. Good. Problem solved. How about we're poisoning? Nah, I think we're just normally hitting 3 to 6, 7 to 4 to 7. These little dots beneath beneath their health are the armor that they are having. All of them are slightly armored. Critical hit would kill them. Unfortunately, we weren't lucky. We could now do something along the lines of this, which is just slow them. That will mean that the knight here can't reach anyone. And we could theoretically use an acid flask in order to remove the armor. The reality is that's not really needed. Not with only 2 enemies. So we're just going to take the brunt of the 2 hits that we're going to get. There we go. Received a critical. Nasty. Let's free up our friend here. Doggo goes in and bites.
At your service.
1, 2.
At your service.
Kill.
At your service.
We can use a waypoint system as a means to move around without provoking attacks of opportunity.
At your service.
We're going to use healing. And then we're going to use a 2-handed hammer. Oh, wow, he dodged all of
At your
that.
service.
That's interesting. Not in a positive way, interesting. Move over. Shoot. Alright, end this little skirmish. And we have one final skirmish.
Council will destroy the documents. We must hold the main gate.
Yes, the enemy's quickly gathering. I saw them from the rooftops.
They're trying to force the gate open. We don't have much time.
We must stop them here.
Good.
They'll rue the day they...
Forward!
So, that's the last engagement. Fighting against 4 of them. And this engagement teaches you a little bit about high ground. So,
At your service.
So if I were to move to here, this guy would have cover, which means we're not. We're just staying where we are currently. And instead, what I would want to do is... We're going to walk the dog, who is not provoking attacks of opportunity, mind you. Walking him in. But let's see. So this would hit all 3. We're definitely going to do that. The dog can stay here, which is fine. We're moving in. Now it's time for a coordinated strike. Nice hit. The dog just completely annihilates him. Lovely. So we still have 2 actions on the dog because that just didn't consume an action. He basically gets that extra attack for free. Fantastic grenade. Followed up by a fire flask. And this guy on the other hand is burning.
Yes.
When you're moving, you can also select the direction that they would be looking at, which is great. I like that. And that should have been a kill. Fortunately, was not. So instead of taking 2 potential shots from up there with 50% chance, we're just going to run in. And that's it. That concludes.
There are so many enemies. Let's hope our brothers and sisters of the Council had enough time.
Regardless, we must continue until the very end if we must.
I thought they wanted to flee. I thought they wanted to flee. Which they clearly did not. Well, all was for nothing. Anyways, we're starting the campaign now. And this is the time to decide, do we want to play France? Do we want to play Vulaton? Which, I don't know who they represent. These here are the Englishmen. And these are from the Pyrenees. Okay, interesting. So Central Europe. Okay, we're just going to select based on the bonus. So they start with 1 extra alchemist. The alchemists, I want to make them healers because they are a fantastic healer as far as I'm concerned. They have reinforced crossbows, so every faction starts with 1 special weapon, and their special weapon is the reinforced crossbow, which they get from free. A couple of consumables, but that's okay, you can buy them later. These guys here start with 1 flare. I think that's the melee DPS class. Theirs, if I recall correctly, were the class that have 2 weapon sets, and you can basically switch in between the weapons, which is plenty cool. Then they start with reinforced bows. I like that because I personally am a sucker for bows. And they start with balms. Okay, a couple of consumables. Fair enough. Then we have Crusaders. Crusaders are the quote-unquote knights that I mentioned. Frontline unit. Starts with a reinforced greatsword. And do have a couple of consumables. And here we got the Beastmasters. Well, they start with an extra Beastmaster. And a reinforced axe. So I chose those here as my first playthrough when I just did the play-in, the 2 or 3 episodes. So I think we're going with Vulaton. Having earned the reputation through the alliances and political maneuvering, the Vulaton family has carved their place amongst the very powerful elite in Brittany. So we're the Brits, okay. Baroness, lately nine of influential and respected heads of the family, blah 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 blah. When first tensions surrounded the succession of the Brenton throne emerged, many individuals turned to the Villeton family for advice. Against the backdrop of uncertainty and distrust, they are... Okay, fair enough. Customize your coat of arms. We certainly shall. So what's a cool coat of arms? I like the black and white design. That's not bad. So trident, that's cool. I've used the Hydra in the initial playthrough. A cool skull is absolutely edgy. I like that. This looks more like a pirate crew. Ooh, a lot of scouts actually. Okay. These here look more like southerners, so like Turks, not necessarily like a coat of arms from Britain. This is nice. Later it was the tri-leg is the symbol of the Isle of Man. Where no matter which way you go, the tri-leg is always stable. So that's not too bad. It's actually a nice little reference. We could be from the Isle of Man. That would be cool. Or we're just official holy knights of the Roman Empire, and we're just cleansing the filth. I like that idea as well. How about we're Black Knights? That's actually cool. We're going to be Black Knights of the Roman Empire. Kind of the Dark Knights of the Roman Empire, and we're going to cleanse the filth. I like that. I very much like that color scheme. Looks fantastic. We're going to go with that. So, we have confirmed the family. Can't go back. There is plenty of customization ahead of us.
Death, while France, in its defeat, plunges into civil war. With your family ruined, fate forces you to flee your lands and wander the roads in exile. But don't lose hope. I'm offering you a new start, a small and secluded domain within the kingdom. For now, you need only know that I was a friend of the head of your family, and my name is Nicholas.
Alright, welcome to your domain. There are 4 types of resources: leather, metal, and wood. That's one of the things that I haven't really fully understand, why you need 4 types of resources. Almost everything requires all of the resources anyways, but that's okay. So let's go through this. These are our building resources, which is fine. We don't have any master craftsmen, which you can get over time, which is fine, and it will allow you to have special upgrades in buildings. And we do have the option to kind of send out 2 squads at the time. Those are the parallel missions that we can take. So at the moment we have almost no buildings unlocked. A laboratory later down the line will give us research for consumables. The chapel allows people to, after they are gravely wounded, to come back. The marketplace allows us to trade resources. Then we have the Great Hall, which is a nice building, and I really not only like the fact that you can send out your troops here, but when you upgrade the Great Hall, it allows you to slot a bigger companion. So this is kind of like the squad side upgrade from XCOM. Essentially allows you to put 5 instead of 4 people into the mix. You can also see that that requires, in order to upgrade, it requires a couple of steps, and those steps are essentially upgrades of the other buildings. So we need 6 upgrades of any building in and around in order to then upgrade the Great Hall. Then next on the line is the Forge, basically better weapons. I like that. But I'll prioritize getting the 5th person first, because power numbers, that was always the key. And then we're upgrading weapons. And barracks, is a good one as well. With higher level barracks, you do have bigger teams. At the beginning, I think we have 12 people. We're going to go there in a second. And finally, prison. That's a neat little one, because prison is passive buffs for everything that you do have, but you need to be able to capture enemies. So it's a neat little side effect. At the moment, we just have the Great Hall, and we have our barracks. And the barracks are essentially going to be the grounds where all of our mercenaries are. We got alchemists, which are the healers. We got the beastmasters. We got crusaders, which are the knights in the front. I just need to get the name of the classes straight. We got duelists. Those are the 2 weapon set people that I mentioned. And then finally we got flayers. So I was wrong. Flayer are the archers / agile warriors. You can also go into melee with them. Let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing. So each of the units does have a hit point pool. Once that is exhausted, you take wounds and die. Each of the units has a stat that determines all of the damage. So that's pretty easy. It has an accuracy stat, which is the percentage of hit. It has a reflexes, which is deducted from accuracy, so that's the base hit chance, so to speak. One is aggressive, one is defensive. It has a critical hit chance, and critical hits don't only do extra damage, massive extra damage, but they also do rider effects. So for instance, if the flayer crits, they will get they will blind the enemy, or have a chance to blind the enemy. Willpower is, I think, the chance of not getting debuffs, and movement is pretty much movement. So neat little system, very different to other RPG systems. No strength, dexterity, agility. It's just attack power, accuracy of how you hit, basically the chance of dodging, then a chance for crit, willpower, and movement. Not 100% sure how to optimize that yet, but we're going to find that out soonish. So that's one thing. The other thing is every single class does have an option to equip certain weapons. You can see a bar down here. Weapons will level up over time, and once a weapon skill, not the weapon itself, but a weapon skill increases, and they get better abilities. So let me make the example here with our archer. We currently just have the headshot, which is 3 to 7 piercing damage. If the attack critically hits, it has a chance of blinding. Okay, then if you level it to level 2, you get dead aim. You draw the bow back, grants you an accurate, and increase your critical hit chance by 15%. So it's a active ability with a higher percentage chance to hit. So this is always on. This might have a cooldown. This is a passive ability. Elevation bonus increases your critical hit chance by 10%. On top of everything else. And then the last is a spectacular shot. Critical hit damage is increased. You deal 4 to 9 piercing damage instead of 3 to 7, and you ignore 3 points armor. Again, that is of course multiplied by better bows. So you essentially not only increase the weapons, but also the aptitude of the person using it, which I found a neat little system. It very much promotes specialization from the characters into a certain weapon category. Then we do have a few items that we can hand out. 25% healing, so this is normal healing balm. Poison arrows, which allow you to have a chance to inflict poison on target. I think they would be consumed. Serrated arrows have a chance of bleeding, and then shackles, this is what you need for capturing companions. Those are actually important. So one last thing to consider is just, again, similar to XCOM, each of these classes does have a tree. or 2 actually skill trees, and for every level 2 to 7 you get 1 ability, and you can select either side. It's no prerequisite to be on either of these. So this class is the closest in XCOM terms to the sniper, and it does have the tree Scout and Saboteur. So Scout is the sniper. You gain a chance of critical strike if you're alone, 3 cells or more. Very much similar to the Lone Wolf buff. Defensive shot, you shoot, and then you gain resilience. Resilience gives you an extra armor, if I'm not mistaken. Ambush, if your target is at full health, you gain another critical hit chance, so it gives you the motivation to use the sniper as the first one to damage them. Perfect shot. Piercing damage, you gain bonus power proportional to the distance, so you want to snipe from very, very far. And then a sharpshooter, you remove 1 armor point. That's passive, which is great. And then this is absolutely crazy. 3 to 7 points of piercing damage, doubling your critical hit chance as well as critical damage. So that's a single shot for very, very high amounts of damage. So you can clearly see this is kind of the DPS version. I want to be alone, high ground, pretty far away. And then you have the other option, which is a Saboteur. You place caltrops on the ground, reducing movement of the enemy unit. Sidestep, you attack, and then afterwards you gain elusive. Elusive means you don't provoke attacks of opportunity. Then you do have Deft Hands, which is 3 to 7 points of damage. And you inflict slowed. If the target is not behind cover, you inflict rooted. So this here is really the Saboteur. You can imagine it is more like the gunslinger build. A lot of movement reduction. You go into a flank position, root the guy. Toxic Gear, caltrops, and critical hits have a chance to inflict poison. Poison is super good. Continuous damage, bypasses armor. Distraction restores 1 movement point the first time you kill a unit with a skill. So it's essentially go into a flanking position, kill, go out of the flanking position. Very, very nice. Good ability, very different playstyle actually. And then you have Pincushion. You throw a volley of sharp blades that target 1 to 5 times. Each deals piercing damage. So this is effectively Face-Off at its finest. So classical sniper versus the fanfire gunslinger build. And oh yeah, and I forgot one thing. Every single class has a specific passive. Those guys, the flayers, the first time they use a inactive or consumable, it doesn't cost any AP, which is great. Okay, so those are the flayers. Let's just quickly go through the other classes in terms of their skills. The rest really works the same. We do have duelists. I looked through all of that before starting the playthrough because I wanted to be able to talk through it. Duelists can carry those 2 sets of weapons, and that's nice because you can switch from one-handed weapons to a 2-handed weapon, or carry a shield. And really what they offer is the Scoundrel version is pure DPS backstab. So you can exploit. If you attack from behind, you ignore target armor. Higher critical hit chance from behind. You can get inspired to move there. You're immune to slowed. You can sprint further. You can disengage, which gives you haste and elusive. So you basically hit and then very fastly can run away. And then this here is, I think, potentially a great game-breaking ability. I haven't really seen it yet, but you strike with level 4s, and attacks from behind restore 1 movement point. And if you kill a target, it restores 1 action point. Here's the thing, it is just a one-time ability, so you can't, it's not passive, you can only do that once, but that seems very, very strong. On the other hand, the Weapon Master seems really focused on the weapon switching technique, so you got the Weapon Master feat where you can decide if you want to use a blunt attack, a piercing attack, or a slashing attack, so it's prone, bleed, and weaken. The way that I understand prone, they lose a movement action because they need to stand up. Bleeding is bypassing armor and deals damage, plus a couple of skills stack up to on bleeding. And then you do have weakened, which basically reduces hit chance and damage. This one here is nice. Passive ability parry. You gain reflexes of 15. Keep in mind that that means 15% less chance of getting hit. Bonus increase to 30 if units don't have a positioning bonus, so that means they don't attack you from above or they don't flank. This here is also a nice ability. You basically challenge someone with taunted and remove and gain armor points against them. Riposte, you become an expert in dueling. First time you attack during your turn, you gain riposte, which is counter-strike ability. Then this here is an additional chance for taunted, and the ultimate ability, you challenge anyone to come to fight you. You have a chance to inflict taunted on enemies within the area, and you gain 2 times valiant. I don't know exactly what valiant is, but I assume it is either counter-strike or above 2 reflexes. So the Weapon Master is kind of a duelist in that sense. You're isolating a target and you're hitting it. In terms of how I want to skill the troops is, I would like to do 2 troops with kind of a quote-unquote standard build on the skills that I think are going to be more useful. And then I want to build a 3rd strike team with the exact opposite skills, so that we're seeing all of the skills in this playthrough. All right, we got the Crusaders. So Crusaders really frontliners in a sense. You got the Templar side, which is a full tank side. So we've got Taunt, called Protector here. You can encourage others, so really like a Paladin. First time you take damage, you gain an armor point. You can fortify allies in an effect behind you. Everybody gets an armor point. You provide guidance to allies, helping them. Everybody does not provoke attacks of opportunity and becomes inspired, which I think deals more damage. And Guardian Angel, you make the enemies focus you, which gives you strength. You have a chance to inflict taunted to all enemies adjacent to you, so kind of go into the middle of the thicket. And you get resilience for each enemy successfully taunted. Resilience, I think, resilience is armor, so you can get quite a bit of armor. On the other hand, you have the Inquisitor, which is really focusing more on their two-handed style. Speaking of which, you do have 2 fighting styles. One is more damage and one is defender. The defender has a chance to taunt the enemy. Your aggressive style essentially will have a higher chance of critical strike. Alright, Verdict, more damage and you gain power bonus, so it's just a strong attack. Fever will heal you and you gain haste. I don't know what green means. Maybe just use it once per mission, because blue seems to be kind of a buff for everybody. Green might be because it's healing, I don't know. The first time you kill a unit, you gain inspired, so you gain stronger. Heavy charge, we have seen that, will move to people and knock them prone. Terrifying Presence, you can inflict despair on adjacent enemies. I don't 100% know what despair does. We're finding this out. And Valiant is, I think, you get a willpower buff. At least it sounds like it. This is a nice one. Holy Retribution, you take 3 cells, deal slashing damage. If you kill someone, you get you immediately refresh the ability and can do it again. So it's kind of AoE front-loaded damage. So very much tank versus two-hand fighter. Pretty plain vanilla, actually. Then we got the Beastmaster, which has the teamwork feat. You get more power and more attack bonus if you and your animal companion are adjacent. Animal companion does get a couple of bonuses. There are 2 animal companions. One is the dog, the other one is the bear. If bear is below 50%, it gains 20% power. The dog, on the other hand, I don't know this by heart. The dog, on the other hand, doesn't trigger attacks of opportunity because he's a he is a canine agility monster. Anyway, so we got 2 skill trees, and on top of it, your beast gets a couple of skills. The hunter is really all about scouting. So we got the option to mark people. Once you mark people, you basically deal damage, and then it is easier to hit them, which is not bad. I like that ability. I think the hunter is meant as a ranged play on this character class. You can scout areas. You can the first time you and your beast benefit from teamwork, your falcon has a chance to inflict marks, so it's passive marking. You can blind enemies, which is great. Greatly reduces their hit chance. You and your beast start 5 cells apart. You gain accurate, so it's really for the hunter play style. And then you can summon a crow of swarms, which sounds nice, blinding the everybody within the area. So really a lot about blind and range plays through. And the other one is the melee version, trainer. Coordinated strike, we've already seen that. Extra attack with the pad. Execution, you can do bleeding if the target is bleeding, poison, or burning. Automatic crit. You do have a wild pair, which is a teamwork. Dog either inflicts bleeding or bear removes armor. You can heal your wounds and your beast wounds and remove basically negative status effects. You and your beast start 3 cells apart. You both gain resilient. And then finally, Feral Rage basically allows you to attack AoE. So this is kind of the melee version of the Beastmaster. Not 100% sure yet which one I like more. Then finally we get the Alchemist, which does have 2 uses of their alchemical concoctions during each of the missions. One is the classical healer, so you can weaken, you can heal better, you can inflict poison and despair on enemies, you can increase the healing from all of your consumables. You can give random debuffs and essentially a chemical stimulant, release powerful gas, 45% healing, and remove all debuffs, and you gain an additional flask. So this is the classical healer, and I think it's very, very strong. On the other hand, you have the pyrochemist, which is all about kind of negative status effects. We already have seen the AoE slow with Tar, then increases damage of fire and acid flasks, increases more fire damage with the alchemical blast, increases the area of fire flasks and acid flasks, an option for bleeding, and then finally alchemical, extremely powerful explosion that inflicts prone and destroys all partial cover. So this is really, call it the Grenadier with various grenades, essentially. So pretty similar to the Grenadier class, what I'm seeing on the right hand side, and pretty similar to the Specialist on what I'm seeing on the left hand side. So On top of that, we can customize all of the characters, and that's what I'm going to do. But since that takes a long time, I will fast forward it for you. Alright, so we're back. It took quite a while to customize all of them, but you can see we got a few names of reoccurring characters on the channel. Now is, by the way, a good time to comment in the section down below if you want to be drafted in a future video with one of your characters. Just let me know the name. And it might be in this game, it might be in another one, but I highly encourage you to do it. Anyway, so we got a few things. I first of all color coded them. So the characters, the alchemists will run green. Got this nice little bloody weapon on top of it. We will run red with the Beastmasters. So Ivat and Sukuger are here. We're going to run blue with our frontline tanks. Hawkbite is going to lead the charge here. Still not 100% sure if the at the end the Crusader will be the better tank, or if kind of dodge tanking with a duelist will be better. We're going to figure that out. Duelists are going to rock yellow, and the snipers are going to rock white as always. So what am I going to skill, quote unquote, normally? So we do have 2 of each class, and we got a spare one in the Flayer section, which means for the time being I would consider all of these guys part of the main team, because we can field at least 5 at some point. So what are the standard skills that I want to go? We're going to do that whilst we're playing, but generally the alchemists would be healing. I want melee Beastmasters. I think that the coordination with melee will be a little bit better. Plus we already got ranged with alchemists and our snipers. These here are going to become, I don't know, we're going to see. I like both of the skill trees actually quite well. The tanks or Crusaders are going to be exactly that. I will go with swords for now. Haven't talked a lot about weapons, but they do have different abilities, like I mentioned. And the sword the Master Swordman has a really nice ability where if an enemy attacks you from the front, you gain a reflex of 20. That's nothing to sneeze at, man. That is 20% less chance of getting hit, and I think that's huge. These guys here are primarily going to be soaking damage, so I want to see if I can stack kind of parry, riposte, and so on. They have a couple of other options as well, and swords deal more damage. However, I'm not oblivious to the fact that we need to deal with armor at some point. So my thought process around this is we're having an extra set of maces with the duelists, and essentially the duelists will go in. The mace has a neat little basic skill which removes 1 armor for the first time that it hits. Then we're switching sets, and then we're back to swords for them as well. I think that that might be a good idea. In terms of armor removal, the sniper, I'm looking at the snipers, I'm looking at the duelists to remove armor, and maybe, just maybe, those acid bombs are any good to further AoE remove armor. I don't know. I mean, I haven't played the game long enough to know how important armor removal is, but my knowledge from XCOM tells me if you do have a game that has armor, you better either find ways to mitigate and go around armor, and swords can do that, or you're removing it, which is even better. So it's kind of the equivalent to shredding, and the only shredding that I've seen on the skill trees is with these guys. The other shredding is via the weapon proc from any form of hammers. So that's the core idea, and that's where after a long explanation we're going to end episode 1. And where we are going to hopefully then join episode number 2. I know a lot of info, but I figured I'll just get it all out of the way at the beginning. so that you and I are on the same level of information. From here on, we're going to see how we're going to do. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we are going to go back into the Crown Wars next time. Stay tuned, and see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.